For 6 relentless days, American and Israeli airstrikes have pounded targets across Iran, lighting up the night sky with explosions and sending shockwaves through the region. These strikes have focused on military installations, command centers, and infrastructure, reportedly killing several top leaders and leaving the Iranian government reeling. The country now faces widespread chaos, with its leadership shaken and its military capabilities severely diminished. As the regime teeters on the edge, Washington is confronted with a critical dilemma: who will take the fight to the ground and fill the power vacuum left behind? The American public, still haunted by memories of past conflicts in the Middle East, is deeply wary of another drawn-out war. The administration, aware of this reluctance, hesitates to commit U.S. troops to a new and uncertain battlefield. Instead, attention shifts to the Kurds, the region's largest stateless people, who have long faced oppression in Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey. Their history of resistance and desire for autonomy make them a natural focal point in this unfolding crisis. Behind the scenes, Kurdish leaders are quietly being encouraged by outside powers to mobilize Iran's Kurdish minority, hoping to ignite an uprising that could further destabilize the regime from within. Along the tense Iraq-Iran border, Kurdish fighters and armored vehicles are gathering in increasing numbers, turning once quiet villages into potential staging grounds for a cross-border incursion. As uncertainty grows and alliances shift, the region stands on the brink of a volatile new chapter, one that could reshape the balance of power in the Middle East for years to come. Washington's interest in Kurdish forces is shaped by past failures in Iraq and Afghanistan. Direct U.S. intervention is costly and unpopular. Kurdish Peshmerga, familiar with the terrain and motivated by decades of oppression, offer a local solution. 6 Iranian Kurdish opposition groups have united, forming a coalition ready to act if given the green light. The largest, PAK, claims decades of preparation for this moment. Yet, Kurdish leaders insist on unity. No group will move alone, and all await the right assurances before crossing into Iran. Their presence at the border signals readiness, but also caution. The stakes: liberation or annihilation. Kurdish leaders approach any potential U.S. alliance with deep skepticism, shaped by decades of hard lessons and broken promises. Their wariness is not just political, it's personal, rooted in the collective memory of their people. Before committing their fighters to any joint operation, Kurdish officials are demanding a robust no-fly zone and the complete destruction of Iran's heavy weapons in the region. These are not just strategic requests, but essential preconditions for their participation. Their caution is deeply rooted in a painful history of betrayal, abandonment by the U.S. in 1975, the tragic aftermath for Kurdish refugees in 1991, and most recently, the loss of territory in Syria after the U.S. withdrew support for the SDF. This legacy of broken promises has left the Kurds wary of vague assurances. They now insist on concrete, enforceable military guarantees, clear commitments that go beyond diplomatic statements or temporary aid. While there are reports of covert U.S. support trickling in, Kurdish commanders argue that only public, unwavering backing from Washington will convince their people to risk another uprising. Without such guarantees, any attempt at rebellion could end in catastrophic failure, repeating the tragedies of the past and leaving Kurdish communities even more vulnerable. For now, Kurdish forces remain vigilant, waiting in uncertainty, torn between hope for meaningful change and the ever-present fear of another devastating betrayal. The next move, and the fate of the Kurdish struggle, now rests in Washington's hands. A Kurdish offensive into Iran sends shockwaves across the region, raising fears of a wider conflict. The move is seen as a bold challenge to Tehran's authority, and it immediately draws the attention of neighboring capitals. Iraq's government and the Kurdistan Regional Government, or KRG, officially claim neutrality, but the reality on the ground is far more complicated. Kurdish fighters are mobilizing on Iraqi soil, putting immense pressure on Baghdad's fragile relationship with both the Kurds and Iran. Behind closed doors, Iraqi leaders worry about being drawn into a conflict they can't control. Meanwhile, Turkey, haunted by decades of conflict with its own Kurdish population, is deeply unsettled. Ankara fears that a Kurdish victory in Iran could inspire renewed separatist ambitions among its own Kurds, threatening the country's territorial integrity and internal stability. In response, Turkey, Syria, Iran, and Iraq, often referred to as the Regional Quartet, have set aside their differences to unite against the prospect of Kurdish independence. Together, they form a powerful bloc determined to prevent any redrawing of borders in the region. Iran has already demonstrated its resolve by launching cross-border attacks, including missile strikes on Kurdish bases inside Iraq. These actions serve as a stark warning to Kurdish forces and their supporters, showing Tehran's willingness to escalate militarily. Any Kurdish move, even if backed by US support or international sympathy, faces fierce regional opposition and the ever-present threat of military retaliation. The Kurds find themselves caught between powerful neighbors and shifting alliances. The risk of escalation is real and immediate, with the potential to ignite a much larger regional crisis at any moment. For Iran's Kurds, 10% of the population, this crisis is a rare chance for change after decades of repression. While Kurdish leaders know the US and Israel act in their own interests, they see a fleeting opportunity for autonomy. Success could reshape the region, but failure would invite brutal reprisals and end Kurdish resistance for a generation. The memory of past betrayals looms large, making every decision fraught with risk. The fate of Iran's Kurds now hangs between American strategy and Kurdish resolve. Their next move could echo across the Middle East for years. The world watches as history teeters on a knife's edge.